This guy is nuts. Is he really making daily recordings of his possible divorce and releasing it as a podcast? They both cheated on each other. She's making six figures and still doesn't contribute to any joint endeavors financially. Why is she still with him? Why is he still with her? I can't wait for the next episode. This helped me be a better wife. So this is how men think. I hate my husband less now. I understand my wife more now. These are some of the listener comments to the Divorce Diaries podcast. All over the map, I know. These anonymous accounts of events should resonate with anyone that has been married, is married, or is preparing for marriage and helps couples avoid pitfalls as they might prepare for marriage. Entire seasons are released on Patreon weeks before anywhere else at Divorce Diaries Podcast Patreon page. Link in description. Now for today's episode.
This is an episode of the rebooted Divorce Diaries podcast where I am no longer angry as shit. I am just, I've had a paradigm shift and I just have a different perspective now. I have the perspective that I am the larger problem in my life, and unlike my rage-filled rants for my first bunch of episodes, my red pill rage, my anger, I am now just in a place where I understand that I have the agency and control over my own life, but I was always passing the buck onto other people, blaming them, making it seem like they're the problem. Like right now, I'm looking at a little pup, and he goes and he grabs my pieces of my workout gear, and he chews on it. He loves chewing on it. I grab it, take it from him. He make it a correction. I put it back where it was. And I'm trying to train him in a way to focus on his toys, not my workout equipment. But I don't know. He's attracted to it. He may be attracted to the smell. He may be attracted to the smell that, and I'm on it. Maybe it's the salt because it's my workout equipment. So maybe it's the sweat. Gross. And I keep putting it back in the same spot, and he just keeps going back to it. He's very young, and he may grow out of this. I mean, I hope he should. But I found myself getting so upset at him for doing exactly what he should be doing. He is the equivalent of a 3-year-old right now, and his attention span is that of a 3-year-old human, I guess. He wants to pick up everything, but he doesn't have hands. The only thing he has is his mouth. The thing that he has to pick things up is also the thing he has that to eat. And me putting these things in a place and turning my back, he should be doing exactly what a 3-year-old should do. And I'm actually the fucking idiot because I'm the one that keeps putting things in places where he can get to them. And then I call myself some mature adult because I get mad at him for doing exactly what he should do. What the fuck kind of ownership and accountability is that? I am the dumbass in this situation. I am the one that's doing things that are actually making my life worse. And in the past 10 minutes, I've had to take this same headband out of his mouth 3 times in the past 20 minutes. And it's always, as soon as I walk out of the room, he goes back to where I put it, he gets it, and then I come back and he's gnawing on it. And then he's running away from me. He doesn't know if he's going to get a correction. He doesn't know how upset I am at him. And he's like, please, don't correct me. Don't reprimand me for what I just did in a way. And he's looking at me like, I couldn't help it. I just couldn't help it. That's how he's looking at me. And I'm like, what am I doing? I just am not taking control. I need to not be so prideful because that's what I am. No. I want to make sure that I can put things in a place where this dog can't get to it. I want to make sure that I'm too proud to put things in a place where this dog can't get to him. I'm going to put it where I want to put it. And if I want to put it in the middle of the floor, this dog should be able to avoid it and leave it alone. And maybe he will be when he's 6 months old. Maybe then he'll be able to leave it alone. Maybe he'll be able to leave it alone when he's a year old. But right now, I have to own the situation, and he is totally uncontrollable. He understands a few things: sit, stay, come, go to your bed, get in your crate, all these things. You want to eat, all that stuff. He knows these things. He understands these commands. But when you leave the room and it's something that he likes feeling in his mouth, on his gums or whatever, because he's still losing his little puppy teeth and everything, it's like he can't contain himself, and he's friggin' 3. So I really need to understand just how prideful a person I really am. I'm really friggin' prideful. It doesn't take, you're on it again. Leave it alone. Stop it. That's because I put it right back in the same place that it was. And now I need to pick it up, put it someplace that he can't get to it. He's following me because he's still showing me that this is what I want to do. This is what I want. I want to put it in my mouth. So where you put it, I'm going to watch so I can try to get it later, so I can see what he's doing. There's so many times in my marriage that I know exactly what my wife wants to do. I know exactly what my wife will do. I knew that my wife would overspend. I knew that my wife would not tell me the things that she was buying. I grew to know that she wasn't necessarily going to make the same money choices that I made. But that was likely because I was taking care of it. That's likely the reason. Or at least that's one of the reasons. I don't know. But I know right now, she's been telling me that she's trying to get her money together, taking a look at a few things and trying to figure out maybe some stocks or some investing and stuff like that. And I think that's really good for her. The accountability that I have to have with myself is understanding that I likely stifled her growth, not only by just, providing everything and then keeping her away from all the sharp objects like the money because of the choices that she would make surrounding money. But furthermore, I constantly hounded her and threw in her face how bad she was with money and her choices, her perspective, and her decision making surrounding money and many, many other things. And that just really, I'll be honest, that's kind of disrespectful because I didn't give her the space that she likely needed to grow. Since I have backed off and left her alone, she's slowly bringing herself to make different changes in her life. And it's mostly because I've now erected a few boundaries up myself. I'm no longer going to pay for this, or I'm no longer going to pay for that. You make a good amount of money, you can handle that. Oh, you can't? Okay, well, you're telling me you can't handle it because of the debt that you're in. Well, you put yourself in that debt. And I used to want to save her from herself. But that made me the worst father and husband that I ever could have been. Because I was always just focused on what's next. What is she doing? What is she doing next? What didn't she do? How didn't she do this? She. I was just focused so much on the external and her and everything that she was doing or wasn't doing that it just fucked us. Now, I don't know what would have happened had I not been doing the things that I was doing. I don't know. Maybe she would have figured these things out way earlier. But I wasn't the most patient husband, so I didn't let her have that space, like I said. So, I mean, I sucked. She can do what she's going to do, but I don't have to do things that make it worse or shame her or make her feel bad or constantly throw facts up in her face that make her constantly look at herself in the mirror. It's like, who wants to be around someone like that that's so critical? It doesn't matter if I'm right or wrong or whatever, but who wants to be around someone that's so critical? And yeah, if you want to take the red pill angry side and say, well, you had things to be critical about, yeah, okay, fine. If you want to take the more responsible, accountable way to look at it, seriously, like I'm looking at it now, I say, no, it doesn't matter. If I honestly do not trust my wife's spending and what she does with money, and I feel that I have to keep the sharp objects away from her, if that's what I feel, I should not be married. I'm not ready to be married, or at least I'm not ready to be married to this person. I'm just not. Because if that's what she is, I'm just not ready for it. And I shouldn't be in that marriage. If we can't get on the same page, which I wasn't able to do that because I've been just looking at all the failures that I made as a husband. I criticized my wife. There we go. That's on the list of fucking things that husbands aren't supposed to do. Criticize their wives. That's it. It doesn't matter the righteous hill that I wanted to die on, the righteous hills. You criticized your wife, and you did it a lot. That's me. That's the shitty husband that I am right there, right now. So when you think about that, come on, let's go out, just in case you're about to take a dump. You probably hit a puppy running around. So I know now and understand fully that there are certain things you just cannot fucking do as a person that's in a relationship with another person. You can't go and fucking... I mean, I could get back to the talking shit about my wife thing, but I'm not going to do that because I'm no longer focusing on all of the things that are external to me. I'm not. And my wife is not me. I don't know what kind of wife she would have been had I not criticized her so much. I don't know what kind of wife she wouldn't be if I was a better partner to her. Just because she was really shitty with money, I don't know why that was. And had I cared more about her, and had I cared more about our marriage and situation, I would have maybe done and said a few different things to myself, honestly. Like, yeah, my wife is not the best with money. Or this, take it back to before marriage. This woman that I'm considering marrying isn't really the best with money. So it was time for me then to not be a shitty prospective husband and have difficult conversations. Because this goes back to, a lot of these things I've already covered in a lot of my podcast past episodes that I've now taken down. But they were just covered from a very angry, blamey, pussified, honestly, place. I was just being a bitch. I didn't have long conversations or serious conversations with my wife before she was my wife about money. I should have sat down and said, hey, do you think that we should save money for our children for college? If she said yes, then I would say, well, when do you think we should start that? I'm thinking now. She would say, oh, well, no, I'm not thinking now. I'm thinking maybe after I get out of this little bit of debt. maybe we should do it then. Okay. But I never gave us and our marriage the opportunity for that. And we were both really young, and both came from broken homes, so there's no real, oh, we know how to do this, and it's not like we had a lot of coaching up from people that have maybe been there, done that. None of that. And in fact, what I've come to learn, most fucking married people don't know what the fuck they're doing anyway. You don't know what the fuck you're doing. She makes her money over here, he makes his money over there. She buys her bags, and he buys his cars, and everybody, it's just kind of a free-for-all. And then eventually, after 10 years, both people kind of make more money or enough money where life becomes a little more comfortable. Then they make a little more money each and a little more money each, and then life's a little more comfortable. They decide to move, things get tight again, but everybody now has these habits baked in where my money's my money, your money's your money. We just kind of don't talk about money, but we both have enough of it to live this lifestyle, and that's that. Yeah, it's not the fairy tale that I thought, hoped, and maybe wanted for myself. It's just not, and maybe it is unattainable, but I'm not going to stop believing, because when I look back and I say, I didn't have those conversations with my wife. I didn't. Come here, pup. I didn't have conversations with my wife that I should have to get us to a good place. I didn't have the conversations that could have helped me decide if I wanted to marry my wife or not. I didn't have any of those discussions because I wussed out. I punked out. What if she doesn't answer the way that I want? Well, hey, you stupid motherfucker, then you'd know. What if she answers the way I do want? Well, then, yeah, you stupid motherfucker, then you'd know. The answer's the same. But it wasn't until we had so many children and I asked her, and I had built up so much resentment because I'd asked over the years, like, hey, can we save a little bit of money? Oh, she didn't want to. Oh, she found herself in more debt, and then we weren't able to take a vacation, so we just did this. And I just constantly lamented, and I bitched, and I moaned, and I threw it in her face, and I bitched, and I moaned, and I threw it in her face. And then I got more resentful and walled off and frustrated with her, and just the only thing I guess I could see with her was the flaws in who she was and how she handled money and how she didn't handle money. And all I saw was the problems, because all I felt was stress and all I felt was frustration. But all the while, I just continued to not have conversations, not try to resolve it. Sought counseling, but sought counseling for other things. I sought counseling for some of the symptoms, but not the disease. I sought counseling where we were in counseling or whatever. And I mean, I talked about maybe the finish line. I talked about what it felt like for me crossing that, going for that run, and you're in that mad dash, and then there's that ribbon at the end, and it's like, who's going to make the finish? Who's going to make the finish? And boom, all I was worried about was the end. Finishing. You know what I'm talking about. The maturation of intimacy in the form of sex with my wife. And it's like, well, it's really hard to become intimate with one another. From my wife's perspective, it's really hard to become intimate with someone that criticizes you, that you may even feel like you have hurt or wronged because of your financial decisions, but maybe you don't, because you don't fully look at it that way, because she did always have a lot of reasons for why she would make certain financial decisions or not make certain financial decisions. And to her, they were perfectly logical, rational, and, here's why I charged this, or here's why I did that, and here's why. And I'm always saying, like, well, you didn't have to do that or that or that. We could have talked about that or that, and that was more expensive than that. And that was, see, I'm just criticizing, wrong, criticize. You did that wrong. Oh, you did that wrong too. Oh, you thought of that? Pop, bad idea. But didn't you know it was going to be a bad idea? Aren't they always bad ideas? Oh, all you are is a bad idea. Bad idea, bad idea, bad idea. So yeah, that person really, really wants to be intimate with their spouse right fucking wrong. No fucking way that person doesn't want to be intimate with their spouse. That's why they aren't being intimate with their spouse. But what are we in counseling talking about? We're in counseling talking about there's a lack of intimacy in our marriage. And boy, oh boy, that might just be the outer layer of the onion. At least I understand now that it was the outer layer of the onion. We had so many other problems. I did so many things wrong. I just really, really screwed up. I really screwed up as a husband, as a man, as a person. I just screwed up. There's no way around it. I just screwed up. My wife is, I really want to say in a weird way, she's really justified in a lot of her reactions. Because yeah, everything that I did, said to my wife, didn't do, say to my wife, was a reaction to something that she did or didn't do. That was the unhealthy cycle that we had in our relationship. She does something, okay, proper reaction would be, hey, I noticed you did that, and I noticed that you were talking about saving money, but I noticed you just spent lots of money on this thing over here. Do you find that is maybe hurting your pursuit of the goal that you said you set? And if she responded in a, let's say, a toxic or defensive way with justification, then I know that maybe I'm in a situation with a person that is unlikely to make any significant or meaningful change. And then I now am able to decide if I'm going to, or if I want to continue down this path with her. But she could have responded in a healthy way that made me want to continue down a path with her. And maybe that doesn't mean the end of our relationship necessarily, but maybe it just means we kind of don't talk about this, or we need to erect some boundaries, like not a contract per se, but like, hey, let's go ahead and total up all of our expenses. And, I feel that you responded pretty defensively to that. And how about we just agree that I pay 70% or I pay these bills and you pay this 30% or these bills. And we'll just agree on that, and we won't say anything, and that's it. We just put it in a bucket of understanding or compromise, because I'm not happy, because in a perfect world, I would just like you not to spend that money in that way like that. I just don't want you to do that. But it's not my right to control you in that way. Because to my wife's credit, like, she never tried to control me in that way. And maybe she never tried to control me in that way because I just wasn't that way. That wasn't her thing. But she had other gripes with me. Never had a gripe with how I was going to provide or make means for the family, because I was always pretty solid there. But there was something, I'm sure. So yeah, I guess I'm just going to say this right now. I guess both spouses, regardless of sex, whether you're the man or you're the woman, the husband or the wife in the long-term relationship, I think that you should try very hard to look less at the other person and look more at yourself. If you have screwed up, if you have criticized, if you have contributed in any way to the detriment, not in the, oh yeah, there's some enough fault to go around, yeah, we all are this or we all are that. Yeah, sure, that's fine. I'm talking about if you are like me and you're like, holy shit, I was a critical son of a bitch to my wife. I was critical as fuck. I just really, I really criticized, and I threw her mistakes in her face often as I could, pretty much. Then if that's what I did, then fix it. and stop today. Like, I don't know, some 12-step program, or you could probably, make a way, and you could think it through and set goals and, keep a journal. Fuck that. Go to your spouse and say, hey, I realize that I have criticized you a lot. Put on your man pants. I've criticized you a lot. I really talked to you like shit a lot over the years, and I didn't really realize. And in fact, you were trying to tell me, and I didn't even listen to you while you were trying to tell me. I'm very sorry. I know I can't make it up, and I know it probably caused irreparable damage in our relationship. I'm sorry. And I'm going to stop today, but obviously I'm human, and if I could just flip the switch, I would. I hope that I can. But when I mess up in these ways that I have been prone to for all these years I've known you, can you gently just tell me, hey, I think you're criticizing me right now? And I will do my best to not become defensive, say that I'm not. I was just trying to bring up, and it's gonna feel like it has for me. It's felt really, really opposite. It's felt really opposite me because I just really, it was pretty much a part of my fucking DNA to criticize. So think about it. I'm going to get a little bit political right now. Just a little. Oh, fuck it. I'm going to get kind of a lot political right now. Think about the painstaking, lengthy fucking process it is for somebody to go from a man to a woman, or a woman to a man. First off, let's call a spade a spade. You fucking can't. I'm a man. I got a fucking dick and I got balls. If someone chops them off, gives me breast implants, I still don't have a fucking uterus, and I can't have a fucking baby. I can't carry one. I can't have one. I can't carry one. I can carry one in my fucking arms. I can take a baby from a woman that fucking had her fucking baby and say, can I hold your baby, please? Then, yeah, sure. Fuck. Oh, fuck all hell. Yeah, I guess. Oh, now I'm fucking holding a baby. But I was born a fucking man. I'm going to die a fucking man. And it doesn't matter what's chopped off or tucked in or shot inside of me. It doesn't fucking matter. I'm a man. I can spread semen seeds. Likewise, a woman. I don't give a fuck what someone sews onto you or chops off of you. You do not produce sperm. You can get a pill to make you have a little beard or whatever the fuck manly features, just like men. You can have whatever female features after drugs are given or taken away or doses changed or whatever the fuck. But there's no way a woman will have the muscle structure of a man, have testicles, be able to produce a child with a woman. You can't. So, because your DNA is fucking male, or your DNA is fucking female, so just like I talked about how impossible it is to change gender or sex, whatever the fuck, go from male to female, I can't fucking, it's gonna be hard for you to change your DNA makeup as a husband or as a wife. If you're a bitchy wife, hey, look, chances are if you're a level 10 bitch, you be doing good to get to a 6. You be good to get to a 6. And you gotta, if you're on the other side of this and the person is not, the person's trying to change because they did some wrong shit to you and they came and apologized, you gotta have that perspective, and you gotta understand that if your wife is a level 10 nagging bitch, and then all of a sudden your wife just says, thanks for taking the trash out. And that's all she can muster. Thanks for taking the trash out. That is a fucking win, and you need to take that check to the bank all the time. And then think about all the other things that your wife does that are really, really good. Think about if you are doing the level, if she went from level 10 to level 6, think about how much more you love her because of the effort that it likely took her. Think about that, because that is a big deal. That is a big deal. And give her a pat on the back and maybe some encouragement there, because that's huge. And me trying to come out and not be the critical person that I was toward my wife, it's in my fucking DNA to be critical. I look at things and I see problems. I'm standing outside now. There's a little boy in the neighborhood. He is mentally challenged, but he's capable enough to. He's always out riding his bike. He's got his helmet on, and his parents obviously trust him to be out here on his bike. And he hasn't done anything super crazy, but he's yelled at a few of my kids a few times, and he's like, he'll call him poopy head. And I mean, the kids are probably every bit of like 13, maybe almost 14. And he's like, he calls them poopy heads, and then he curses at them and stuff like that. And when they first came home and told me about this, and this kid, he's over there. I'm like, first off, it's my daughter's, and it's a boy. So I head over and I'm just like, who the heck is it? And it's like, he's riding his bike kind of toward them. And my daughters don't really know how to handle themselves in that situation. And they're saying it's a boy, and I got to get eyes on him, I got to get eyes on him to see just how big he is, how much damage he's causing or trying to cause or could cause to them. Because I've got a larger daughter, and she could probably take care of it, but I don't want my daughter fighting a boy, especially a boy that I haven't seen. And I go and I get eyes on the kid, and I'm like, okay, I get what this is. I get this. This kid is a little special. He's a little different, and we need to be a little bit more accommodating. So I'm able to have a teaching moment with my daughters, like, hey, this is obviously what the situation is. You guys just be careful. And if he does try to hit you or something like that, then obviously you guys will have to stop him from doing that. Tell the big one, like, hey, you may just have to kick his ass. Like, I'm sorry. But maybe we try to keep our distance. We try to avoid him in a way or two. And we just kind of rally in that way, and we just understand like a little kid. If they just come up and you're holding some candy, and they're like 2 years old, and they just come up and they just reach into your hand, take a piece of candy and eat it, you're not going to react to that little kid the same way you would if an adult came up to you and just took something from you and ate it. But you would act the same way that you would with a 2-year-old if the adult that came and just took the candy from you was a person of special needs. Then you would say, oh, it's okay. You would totally say, you can have the M&M. I don't care, because you don't care about the M&M. You understand what you're dealing with. And when you got a spouse that's trying really hard to change their fucking DNA, like me, being a critical son of a bitch, I'm not sure that I'll ever get there, but I know that I want to try, because it was wrong of me to do it. It's just been wrong of me. So that's the righteous hill I'll die on. It has been wrong of me. Don't do that. So I'm gonna try my best to stop and take accountability and ownership for just how fucked up my shit is. Who cares if she's bad at money? She can get better at money. Is it a part of her DNA? Maybe. But with a little financial literacy, a little bit of a shift in perspective, and her realizing maybe the fruits of her labor by saving more than she spends, being a good steward over her money, or being allowed to have control over her life so she can really feel the ramifications of her financial failures and how they've affected her life, that will be what changes her. Now me, I don't necessarily want there to be a divorce that needs to happen for me to wake up, because that doesn't mean I'm not supposed to be divorced from my wife. That's a whole different thing. But I don't want to be a divorced person and look at this whole thing and say, like, God damn it, you were just such a piece of shit, and now you get it, and now it's too late. You don't ever want it to be too late.
Wow! That was the Divorce Diaries podcast. The Daily Saga will continue tomorrow. The full season's episodes are on Patreon now. Subscribe for early access. Click the Patreon link in the description. Hopefully, these entries help our anonymous recorder as a form of his own personal therapy. That's his hope and his intention. Will these recordings of life's curveballs lead this family to the best resolution in the end? We'll keep listening. New episodes are released daily on all podcast players, but all episodes are available on Patreon at Divorce Diaries Podcast Patreon page. Until next time.